Hey there, Griff Hamlin here from Blues Guitar Unleashed with a lick that is clearly not blues. And we are working actually on hard rock style licks, some easy hard rock style licks. Now, talked about it before, you know, obviously I love the blues. I've played the blues for decades, but before the blues, I did play an awful lot of 70s and 80s hard rock and heavy metal music, and I love it. And so I've decided to start doing more of it. So this video is going to be a lick way more in that style. Now, does that mean you couldn't apply it to a blues? Of course you could. A lot of this kind of stuff is very similar, particularly if you're more of a blues rock lover, you know, Gary Moore or something like that, where it's definitely plenty of rock influence in your blues. But regardless of that, let's jump into the lick and check it out. It is in the key of F sharp minor. Now, I'll say jam chord progression that I'm using is an F sharp power chord to an A power chord to an E power chord to a B to an A. So F sharp, A, E, B, A, F sharp, A, E, B. And I've just kind of got that on a loop in my looper pedal, so nothing super fancy. We get this a lot in I'll say blues-inspired hard rock or heavy metal music. It's basically sort of based around making power chords out of the minor pentatonic scale. So F sharp, A, B, there's no C sharp in here, but that's a note in the scale, and E. So you'll notice that 4 out of the 5 notes in the minor pentatonic scale, we have a power chord from that. So you'll find if you're trying to figure out riffs or licks or whatever from a lot of this kind of music, it's still very blues influenced, and a lot of times the chords are, again, simply taken from the pentatonic scale, but we add the power chord. This E power chord is open 2, 2, 4, 5. That's my big open E power chord. I love that sound. You hear that a lot in 70s and 80s hard rock and heavy metal music. So anyway, it's a great sound. What we're going to start off with is we're going to come up to, it's F sharp minor, it's box 1 of the minor pentatonic scale. Now that probably sounds pretty straightforward and pretty easy. I'll tell you where you're probably going to mess it up is the timing, and I know I talk about timing a lot. Today's going to be no exception to that rule because it's the upper note, right? We're bending the 17th fret on the 2nd string up and then striking the 14th fret on the top string. And we're just doing that over and over. And you think, okay, well, I just do that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in a row and I'm there. Not so fast. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. You got different beats every time. Sometimes it's on a downbeat, sometimes it's on an and. So you really got to pay attention to this. Make sure you do the counting on something like this, or I can pretty much promise you'll mess it up. So again, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and that is the 17th fret on the top string. And I bend it up. Now, you got a couple of options, right? Once you get it up to pitch, and by the way, notice I'm using my 3rd finger and not my pinky. That's for no other reason than the fact that the frets are really close together up here, and it just feels kind of squeezy to get my pinky in there. If you like your pinky in there, then use your pinky. It's totally no problem. Once I get that note bent up, I could do some vibrato. But don't try to do the vibrato if you can't get it up to pitch. The main thing is to get it up to pitch. In the more hard rock heavy metal style, right, of course you might have a whammy bar, you could use some whammy bar on it, or you can do kind of what I call the catch and release. And you can sort of start to let it go. It's a controlled release. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to hit that note, but I'm going to start to release it in a somewhat controlled fashion before I go to the next part. Now, the next part has 16th notes, and I don't want that to scare you because they come in pairs, and so we can still count the 8th notes. So when I do that big bend, it's going to be on the and of 4. So 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. I do a pull off from the 17th to the 14th fret. Now, a lot of people are uncomfortable mixing picking and pull-offs and hammer-ons together. So this is going to be a really good opportunity to practice this because it's a really important skill, especially for licks like this. You might be inclined to just brush this off and say, oh, I'll never be able to play that. Please don't do that. You absolutely can play this if you do what I do and say what I say. So, 3, and then on the second string, and then we're going to pick the 17th fret and the 14th fret. So 17th on the 2nd, 14th on the 1st, and then we're going to bend that 17 up again. So 3 and 4 and 3 and 4 and the main thing, and when I bend that up again, I can give it some sugar, or I can bend it up and sort of give it a controlled release. However you want to approach that is fine. Either one I think is stylistically appropriate. You will probably want to just do this one little part. Just practice that one little move right there. 3 and 4 and 3 and 4 and. Notice that rhythmically everything is very smooth. Okay, so if I were to pick every note, 3 and 4 and, everything is even. If I pull off 3 and 4 and, everything is very even. It should sound almost exactly the same. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4 and you just do it over and over until that feels comfortable. Now it's going to get to a point where it's going to start to feel comfortable and you'll be like, okay, I sort of got it, but it's too slow. This is where, when you can count it, I'll say at a comfortable pace, right? Say, I like to say 60 beats a minute on a metronome, which is 1 click per second, right? So it's, you kind of know what a second, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, right? Or 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000. So you know about what that feels like. So when I could do it at about that pace, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, 3, and 4, and, right? So when you get comfortable with that and you feel like you're at about that 60 beats a minute, that's when you're going to turn on a metronome. Okay, before that, just count it. Just count it out loud. Turn on a metronome at 60 beats a minute. Make sure you can stay with it there. When you can, and you're sure you're good there, you're going to start bumping up the speed. Now you're going to go to speeds that are not comfortable, and you're probably going to make mistakes. That's okay. You need to go through a variety of different speeds, right? I'll say full speed on this is probably about here, right? So maybe 100, 106, 108, 110, somewhere in there. Since I made it up, I get to choose, right, what the full speed is. But that's about as fast as we need to go. So if I can... then I'm good, right? So go through different metronome markings at different speeds that get that. It'll be a little bit fast, you'll make some mistakes, you'll slow it up again, you'll get it nice and clean. You'll speed it up again, you'll make some mistakes, you'll slow it back again, it'll be fine. And you'll just kind of go back and forth. And that going back and forth is really, really important, because that going back and forth is what gives you the variety. It keeps your brain engaged, it keeps your ear engaged, it keeps your fingers doing what they need to do. If you just keep playing at the same speed over and over and over again, you're just going to get really good at playing at that speed. And we don't want that. We want more speed, right? So let's do the whole lick nice and slow. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3. Again, 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time, a little more up to speed if you're feeling adventurous. 1, 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and that is a classic blues-based hard rock lick. And again, it would work in a blues rock context as well. It's with a straight feel, so it's going to be pretty driving. Whether you want to call that hard rock, heavy metal, or blues rock is up to you. There's a lot of overlap between those. So work on this lick, play with it, have some fun with it. I love this style of music. I'm equally as at home, playing the hard rock metal stuff as I am playing the blues stuff. It's what I grew up on, so I just love this stuff as well. So I hope you'll dig it and give it a shot for yourself. And I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.